Can I ask how many of you actually use social media? I think that the penetration is very high in the Philippines, isn't it? How about editors? People who are in a position of editorial control. Do you use Twitter, Facebook in this? Yeah? Would you say that you're part of a new generation, or there's an older generation that doesn't quite know what to do about it? What is it? I'm supposed to be talking about the role of social media in contemporary conflicts, which sounds terribly important. But my subtitle would be, I never knew that. I really just want to talk about my experiences and my point of view, having seen how the media landscape has changed so dramatically in the 20 years since I started as a cub reporter with speaking very good English here in the Philippines on the overnight beat. I was on the graveyard shift for ABS-CBN doing the police beat here, which has strongly informed the way that I cover on Al Jazeera the stories about police brutality and impunity. I've seen it. Here's a story of a personal experience that exemplifies a lot of the points that I hope to be making in the next few minutes. After months of negotiations, I managed to persuade officials in the Burmese or Myanmar regime to allow me to go there on an official visit. It was the kind of disaster reporting that Patrick was espousing and Finn was espousing just a few minutes ago, because they were saying, you know, you should go back and check out what happened after a disaster. So we were there a year after, and it was amazing. We got to go in the World Food Programme, helicopter, and extraordinary, unique access, for which I was very grateful to the Burmese government. I did ask them, I wanted to be fair, I asked them if there was anything they wanted to show about. They were very proud of the fact that they had gone into a cooperation agreement with ASEAN and with the UN to allow these strange international NGOs into the country. So we went to one place, but it was very obvious from what I saw that it was the exception and not the rule. And one of the places that we went to was absolutely abjectly poor. No access to sanitation, no access to water, barely any access to healthcare. And I think at this point, destiny, fate, God, whatever you want to call it, stepped in. A baby died while we were there, just then, to a village where they said they had never seen white people before. Never broadcast that. Compare that, and for me, that exemplifies a choice that we all have as journalists in disaster or emergency areas. Who's at the center of the story? I was gobsmacked at CNN's coverage in Haiti. We were talking about Haiti a bit earlier. Suddenly, you have these superstar correspondents who are humanitarian workers. They had no qualms at all about going in there and saying, look at me, I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and I'm saving a baby. But I made a very definite choice at that point that the story wasn't about me. It was about the baby. It was about the people. And I wanted to put it into context that and what I did was I put it into context to say that the infant mortality rates in Myanmar are comparable with those in sub-Saharan Africa. We're talking about the biggest country in mainland Southeast Asia, Burma, I should say. So there is a way, so that for me was the way of dealing with something that was very powerful that happened to me and stressful in a disaster or emergency situation that actually almost got me kicked out, because at that point, the Burmese really, I put the report out, and they were furious. They're still furious to this day. I'm persona non grata. But what could I do? The baby died in my arms. I was breathing into her mouth, and my producer said, we were going for 2 minutes, and you're actually supposed to keep going and going until a health professional tells you not to stop. The baby's dead. And the baby, you could see the oxygen was making her cheeks red. The oxygen was having an effect going into her blood. But Simon, my producer, leaned over and said, Veronica, don't give them too much hope. There's no follow-up. What if the baby had lost, oxygen for a few minutes and she was paralyzed or whatever, brain damage? What could she have done in that place? There's nothing there. The fishermen earned maybe $1 a day. They got some aid, but it was stupid aid. It was boats that they couldn't use, that they were given by the aid community. Anyway, look, the baby was TB gold. They got me chucked out, and yeah, so we were detained, and the government tried to say to us, "Oh, don't! We want you to do some more favourable reports for us." But at the same time, they were holding us in this hotel and saying, "No, you can't fly out tomorrow." And like we tried to explain to them, this is coercion. The moment that you tell us you won't let us out of the country in exchange for a report, there is nothing we can do. And it took about, I don't know, 2 hours for them to kind of get it and let us out. Let us out of the country. By the way, we're talking about journalist safety a little later in the day. You know, you ring your embassy. The Australians answered for my friend. The British answered for my producer and cameraman. I rang the Philippine embassy. Wala nang sagot. No answer. Nobody home. It's Saturday. I think that's why it's very important and a real pleasure for me to be here today, because I think we can speak. If we speak together, we have a louder voice. Yeah, we can go. I think, you know, wouldn't it be great if I could? I mean, if things had gone on a bit, I would have rung my friend at the ICRC maybe and said, "David, help," or, you know, or I could ring whatever you come up with today. Maybe we'll come up with something today, and I can say, "Help," and we can all rely on each other. That we'll be there for each other in those kinds of situations. Now, the baby was TV gold, I was saying, and because for those of us concerned about how to break through the compassion fatigue that Philippe was talking about a bit earlier, it's an age-old question. How do you make people feel something so they do something about it? There have been several really important cases. The baby was mine, was a case for me where a statistic, a fact, a situation became something that makes me feel something, and I hope some of the viewers feel something. But do you remember Mohammed al-Dura, the 12-year-old boy in Gaza, who was shot trying to hide behind his father? Remember that footage? Remember that? Do you remember the girl, Neda Aga Sultan in Iran? Yeah, part of the Green Revolution. For many people, that, I think, is what social media means. It's a new way of getting information, and they love it. But there is still that step of making you feel something. I've got some statistics for you. In the last 10 to 12 years, 1.5 billion people have started using the internet. 1.5 billion people are doing something that they didn't do 10 years ago. That's a lot of people. As of this week, I've just heard from the guy who invented Google Earth, and I've got these statistics from him. 1 billion people have visited Google Earth. 1 billion people in the last 10 years. He said 10 years ago it was an idea. Suddenly, they've all gone on Google Earth. Every day, 500,000 people sign up to Google's smartphone platform, Android. There are 500,000 new messages a minute on Facebook. 1 billion emails and instant messages are sent every day. Apparently social media has taken over porn as the #1 activity on the web in America. 1 in 5 couples meet online. 3 in 5 gay couples meet online. 1 in 5 divorces are blamed on Facebook. If Facebook was a country, it would be the world's 3rd largest and 2 times the size of the US population. That's from socionomics. So we are journalists at a time when information is popular. Humans are connected and they want to talk. They must be saying something, all these billions of people. People have information and they want to share it. We are here at a time when people can create something that's information-oriented and share with many people, even if you can't leave the place where you are. However, even if those numbers sound fantastic, that still only constitutes about 22%. That's 1 in 5 people in the world who have access to the internet. If you're in Darfur or some of the places that we've been talking about today, it doesn't matter. I mean, internet's not going to be your priority, is it? But it can be part of their solution. And I think that's what we're kind of getting at with this idea of social media now.